Hey guys, Joe Rachel here from LearnHowToTintCarWindows.com. How are you? Hey, I wanted to share a little tip with you today. This is something that I know a lot of automotive film installers deal with, possibly even paint protection film guys and also vinyl wrap guys might deal with this as well. This is when you run into a situation where you have your different installation tools, in particular the ones that you actually touch on the glass. You know, other tools, you know, that you use have, you know, rubber that you don't have to worry about, but some of the tools that you use directly on the film itself, you'll end up getting these little burrs, and you'll end up having to either chuck this card out and throw it away and start utilizing a new one. Or what a lot of guys will do is they'll sharpen them, or they'll use a little sandpaper, like maybe a 250 grit, and they'll sand it and try to renew this edge here. I'm going to give you a tip here, a double tip actually, because I found this material, a pot scrubber. A lot of guys know this and buy these from Tint supply outfits, and a lot of times what you'll get when you purchase these is more of a copper finished material, and it's a lot thinner than what I have here. And what happens is when you are scrubbing the back window down by the rear deck, it has a tendency to tear those cheaper copper ones apart. I found this at the dollar store, and it's stainless steel. They last an incredibly long time, and they're really, really nice. They don't rust out like steel wool does. If you get steel wool wet, it's gonna rust out on you. So these are really nice, and they're $1 for 3. So you can find them at the dollar store. Now, how that plays into what we do about the edges on our tools, I use these both on my chiseler, and I use them on my little corner squeegees, little hard cards for getting into the corner edges. And you'll notice that when you go below the gasket and touch some of the things that are underneath the gasket, different parts of the car that are, you know, holding the window in place, and different items below the gasket, you'll end up nicking this material here, and then you'll see that you'll make little scratches on the glass. And here's what I found out. I had used sandpaper, I had used the card sharpener, and then you end up taking a lot of material off, and then what happens is you have a thicker, less flexible edge that doesn't want to make intimate contact. And so I started sanding, and like a lot of people, but when I started to buy these things, I thought to myself one day, I'm going to use this and I'm going to see if I can sharpen this. And lo and behold, you can actually see, if I do this, if I show you close enough here, you can definitely see a clean section down here where I've sanded this unit. But this thing does a fantastic job of deburring, and it really works out really well. And it doesn't take away from this thin portion at the bottom here, so it really makes the cards really renewable. You can actually see, let me see if I can show you this, but if I hold that real still, you see the blue there? It's not in the greatest focus there. You can see it though. So this thing does a fantastic job of deburring and eliminating the areas where you are going to be making contact with the glass, and totally eliminating the idea of getting us little scratches in the film, which I know everybody's dealing with, and this has proven to be the best way for me to deburr these units. So what I'll do is I'll run it through this pot scrubber, and I will literally, you can feel the edge, you can feel that it's deburred, but it does have a little roughness to it. So then what I do is I take my scrubby and I polish it. Now, this scrubby is wet. I used it on a window just a few minutes ago, and I'm going to go ahead and polish this edge even further now with this scrubby pad, and I'm going to give it a nice smooth finish. But I'm not done yet. Now I feel it, and I've really eliminated the burrs. And now what I can do is I even take my towel now and do a dry polish on it and really give it a smooth surface so that I know that when this thing glides along the film, it's not going to leave those little scratches. This is 100%. This is really a good system that you can use that it saved me money because I'm not throwing these out. It works as well on the chiselers. You can do the same thing on all edges, and you can deburr a chiseler and take a chiseler that would normally only last, you know, I don't know, maybe a week before it's starting to scratch stuff, and you can take this chiseler and make it last 3-4 weeks and use it until the point where it gets brittle and it wants to crack in half in the middle. Everybody knows how these work, but these things get burred up real quick, and you're going to be putting little fine scratches in there. So you can use this method to prolong the life, to extend the life of these chiselers as well, which is really great. So that's just a little tip, a little trick that I learned. Then I'll take and I'll run my fingernail even along these things to really just kind of knock down anything that might be there, and it also gives me an opportunity to really feel and inspect that edge, because your fingernail can really sense any little divots or any little burring that might be on there, and you'd be surprised that your fingernail by itself can sometimes shave these off. So by the time I finish this little process, I can do this in just a matter of a couple of minutes. I have a renewed surface on this squeegee. I've actually had this tri-edge here for probably 2 years, and I've used this system to renew it and keep it fresh and keep it new. So just a tip for you guys. Appreciate you taking a peek, and we'll talk.